Florida Governor Ron DeSantis's not yet even a real campaign might already be collapsing. And I have to tell you, I have very mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I am enjoying the cringe and the disasters that are plaguing Ron DeSantis daily because it's just so entertaining and it really couldn't happen to a worse guy. On the other hand, I also recognize that Trump's a disaster and DeSantis's failings are good for Trump. And it's hard to get behind things that are good for Trump as well. But let me tell you what's been going on. Amid flooding in Florida, as well as long gas lines, which are currently happening as a result of the flooding, Ron DeSantis has been out on a non-campaign campaign, book-related events. And yesterday he was in South Carolina at an event with his wife, which went so cringe, so quick that it's actually hard to believe. Let's look at a couple of clips of this. Ron appearing with Casey DeSantis, and they tell a very coordinated story. You know, DeSantis is in this war with Disney and Disney World down in Florida. And they tell the story about how, they had a Disney wedding or something, but it was all before they fell in love at Disney, but it was all before Disney went woke. And it only gets worse from there. And the coordinated and scripted nature of this, it's so cringy, and he's pulling his wife into it. And the mega donors that were thinking about backing DeSantis are already bailing. And I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with this event. Listen to this heartwarming story of love from the governor.
One day, she comes to me and says,
She comes to me with tears in her eyes, and she says, "Sir,"
talking to my parents, and they were interested in potentially doing the wedding at
Walt Disney World.
Oh.
I remember when this broke in the news, everybody thought it was so scandalous, like DeSantis got married at Disney. Like, yeah, it was great back then. But he had one caveat, though, because he was very gracious. He
Casey DeSantis is even using Trump's mannerisms, interestingly enough.
said, you go do what you want to do. This is your thing. Go. It's wonderful. And we grew up coming from Ohio, going to Disney. We had a lot of fun before they went woke, obviously.
Whoa, super fun.
But there was one caveat. He said, you can do it. However,
no Mickey, Donald Duck, anybody at the wedding ceremony. They actually have a wedding It's really nice, and everything worked out. It was traditional. In fact, you look at our wedding pictures, you wouldn't know that it was anything.
You what? No. Isn't this just a great story, guys?
Anything out of the ordinary. But, we're doing that, and then thinking about, so this is almost 15 years ago, and then no one was thinking like that somehow this would end up being something we would be involved with,
Right.
Going toe to toe with them about gender ideology in kindergarten. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's just absurd.
Kindergarten. That's interesting.
But that's just the way life works.
well, it's so funny because people would say, oh, did you ever see, that the governor was going to be the governor? I'm like, when I first met him, he was a cute guy in the Navy. Like, I fell for the white uniform, right? Like, he was very handsome. He was like Tom.
Just like, hold on. Did she actually say Tom Cruise?
Right? Like, he was very handsome. He was like Tom Cruise. It was.
I was going to jokingly say, just like Tom Cruise in Top Gun or whatever movie, Few Good Men. This is not helping DeSantis. That's the really interesting thing. This obsession with Disney. I mean, okay, cringeworthy, scripted story, fine. This is really not helping DeSantis. He's in South Carolina telling Disney stories while Florida is in chaos due to flooding and gas lines. And meanwhile, when he is in Florida, he's just obsessed with Disney World to such a degree that even some Republicans like Larry Kudlow are saying this really isn't looking very good. He then did like a more formal event in South Carolina about the Florida blueprint, I guess trying to portray the idea that South Carolina and other red states should copy the blueprint of Florida, which quite frankly is a very, very mediocre state. You all know I love going to Florida. I go down to Miami. I go to the, liberal areas. I'm at hipster cafes and all this stuff. But the truth is that if you zoom out and look at the state in sum total, it's a very mediocre state, not particularly good or bad when it comes to infrastructure, crime, education, just like around 25th out of 50 in most categories. Why would you follow that as a blueprint? Well, here he explains part of the blueprint is you got to get woke out and transgender and all this stuff that's driving donors away.
The people also side with us on wanting an economy where businesses focus on their core mission of providing whatever service or whatever they're doing in the economy and not getting mired into woke political activism. And you see it time and time again. Sometimes it's a one-off, like this ridiculous thing with Bud Light by trying to push the transgenderism. But what they're doing is...
Do you guys think that anybody has been pushed into transgenderism by seeing or hearing that Dylan Mulvaney drank Bud Light and had some kind of a spot? Like the very nature of you can push people into being trans is one of the oldest tropes. It used to be about you can push people into being gay. Now it's you can push people into being trans.
These are corporations, mostly very wealthy, powerful corporations. And they're trying to leverage their economic power to change our country.
All right. They're just doing what's profitable. That's really all that's going on. And DeSantis at this point seeming desperately obsessed with Disney and with Bud Light. And just one last clip from this totally deranged event. Here is Ron DeSantis saying woke 7 times in 20 seconds.
So because the woke represents a war on truth, we have no other recourse but to wage a war on woke. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
Yeah, there you go. So this is not a good idea. DeSantis donors aren't happy with this. And the polling shows, as I told you 2 weeks ago, most people are on the side of wokeness. But let's now talk about the trouble that DeSantis is creating for himself with this anti-woke crusade. One of our sponsors is Helix Sleep. I have been sleeping on a Helix mattress at home for years now. I couldn't be more happy with it. I recommend it to everybody. The other day, even though she's not allowed in the big bed, I put my baby daughter on the mattress and even she loved it. Helix Sleep is the premium mattress brand offering tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz. It asks you about your body type, your sleeping position. Do you get hot at night? Do you have back pain? And then Helix will match you with the mattress that's perfect for you. Most people don't know where to begin when shopping for a mattress, including me. Helix makes it simple and less risky because you know you're getting a mattress that fits your needs. It ships free. You can try it for 100 nights to see if you like it, and it comes with a 10 or 15-year warranty. Unlike many mattress companies, all Helix mattresses are made in the USA by a skilled production team, so you are supporting good jobs. Helix Sleep is giving my audience up to 20% off plus 2 free pillows. What other mattress company is going to give you 20% off? Go to helixsleep.com/Pacman. The link is down below.